evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual grand finale ceremony of Edufront CodeFest 2021. I am Sukriti Yaduvanshi, your host for this evening. It's an honor for me to host this event, which marks the grand conclusion of one of the biggest quiz competitions and coding contests for school students. In December last year, TEGIC, in association with India's leading learning management system, Edufront, organized Edufront CodeFest, a technology contest for school students. This amazing contest invited all young learners to showcase their technology potential and earn recognition on a countrywide stage. More than 3,000 schools participated in the competition. The event witnessed 11,000 plus registrations from the school students, out of which 1,200 plus were able to make it to the first round. Edufront CodeFest had two stages. In the first stage, which was open for everyone, students had to ace a technology quiz. And in the second one, the students had to submit their coding projects. With a cutthroat competition and a battle of 60 days from December 21, 2020 to February 22nd, 2020, 516 students qualified for the finale. And we had a fantastic 405 coding submissions altogether. Our students were allowed to use 50 plus programming languages, out of which the competition witnessed maximum participation for core Java, followed by Python. The participating students have tirelessly worked to claim their glory at national level and win cash prizes amounting to rupees 2.7 lakh. As we hold our breath to know the names of the final winners, ladies and gentlemen, today at the grand finale of Edufront CodeFest, I'm thrilled to announce that we are joined by esteemed school principals, academicians, school leaders, educationists, parents, mentors, and last but not the least, our young audience who are keenly waiting for the results. As we move ahead with the finale ceremony, I would like to invite Mr. Satish Jha, the chairman at Edufront, for the keynote address.
Good evening. Thank you, Sukriti. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire Edufront team, I take this opportunity to welcome all the school principals, teachers, parents, and students to the virtual grand finale of Edufront CodeFest. Coding is the backbone of all digital innovation. Every website, every application, every computer program, every calculator, every microwave that you see, in fact, anything that operates on technology relies on codes in some ways or the other. So aren't coders the architects and builders of the digital age? I learned that about a couple of decades ago at MIT when I was invited to join the one laptop per child program that I ran for the country. And I learned how powerful learning with coding was. Professor Negroponte, who founded Media Lab at MIT, he used to say that the most brilliant minds, they think like coders. And if every child learns to code, they will have the way to connect the dots that we all need as a civilization, as educated people, to take us from wherever to somewhere we want to go. That was the foundation on which Edufront was conceived as an idea, that if we can take these technologies, the ability to code and connect the dots in the way the world that we are entering every day with the development of technologies, that will be the new India that's going to be there with the whole world standing step in the step. And that's how we began Edufront. The idea was that every child in the country could learn on a screen. Just like today we read on blackboards, we use papers, pencils. Today, everyone is reading on screens. If our children read on the screen, they have an opportunity to also begin to code. Because to begin to code, you need the screen, you need the computer first. So one tablet, one laptop, one device per child, that is the aim that we are working with. And then we are trying to bring the capabilities to learn with screen, learn with computers, learn with tablets, or any device that functions like computers to the child's aid and make it so affordable that every child can actually begin to learn with it. We learned that children They have innate capacity to deal with the screens or devices in ways that we don't even fathom, we can't even understand. And that's what Edufront is trying to do, to bring the technologies to equalize, to help every child have an opportunity to enter the new world that we are entering. And in India will essentially reap its demographic dividend when every child begins to learn on the screen and is able to connect the dots the way the world does. So folks, wishing good luck to all participants. Your efforts have been commendable. I'm certain that all of you must have learned so much during this competition. Do remember that just as a small beginning of a tech innovation, that maybe it is showing you the way to go. So without taking any more time, let's get the show started.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satish, for your words of encouragement. Coding has a language of its own. Every letter in the alphabet has a special formula of zeros and ones that represent it. These zeros and ones give the technology around us directions on how to perform. What better way for our children to understand why and how the technology around them operates than by learning to code and speaking to the technology around them? Being able to effectively code, a programmer needs to use logical thinking. They need to be able to see a large problem and break it down into small pieces in order to solve it in an effective manner. And coding enhances these analytical and computational skills in a child. Platforms like Edufront are an integral part of the e-learning design and development process, especially if you have a large audience and a great deal of subject like coding to deliver. A recent study reveals that India produces the most school pupils with coding skills, almost 10 times as many as the US. By looking at this data, it is quite easily understood that coding could be a viable destination for skilled programmers and coders to start off with their business ventures. Thanks to competitions like Edufront CodeFest, coding has literally become a child's play. Edufront and TechGig hosted two special webinars. One on addressing the strength and challenges in the edtech world during COVID-19 and beyond, and the second one on how will hybrid teaching work during COVID-19 and beyond. These webinar sessions were attended by 500 plus academicians and educationists. The first session focused on how all stakeholders in school education are adapting and readapting because of the unprecedented advent of COVID-19 and after, while the second one talked about the support do teachers need and are they prepared for the challenges ahead. Let us have a brief glimpse of these enriching conversations.
Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to everybody who's watching us live on Facebook and LinkedIn, and on this fabulous and a very interesting discussion on the changes in the edtech sector amid the COVID-19. A leading learning management software provider and TechGig have conceived this session for all of you educators and academicians to come and talk about the multitude of challenges and plethora of opportunities that we have here. Let us talk about many things that came in our way and will continue in years to come, and COVID-19 will never be seen like a black mark. It will be rather seen as a year of opportunity for all of you. I have curated a wonderful panel with me who are leaders in their own forte, who bring with them years of experience and years of learning. And I have with me an August panel comprising of Mr. Satish Jha, the committee co-chair, TIE Edu SIG chairman of Freescale. He founded OLPC India Foundation, and he's the former editor of Dinaman from the Times of India Group. He's also the co-founder of Jansatta from the Indian Express Group, and he's the chairman of Edufront. Welcome, sir. I have with me Dr. Usha Ram. She's the founder principal of Sadhu Vaswani International School, former principal of Lakshman Public School, New Delhi. She's the first Asian woman to receive first Dan Black Belt honorary by the International Federation. Welcome, ma'am. I also have with me Mr. Shantanu Jha. He's the co-founder of a leading education management solution provider, Edufront. Welcome, sir. I have with me a very august personality, last but not the least, Ma'am Geeta Gangwani. She is the British School Ambassador. She's received Global Teacher Accreditation from the British School. She's curated Flex books, ebooks at CK12 org. She's got State Award in 2015 and MHRD National Award in 2000.
It always is. When I looked at what suddenly came upon us, that we couldn't go to schools, teachers couldn't go to schools, none of us could come together at a place. Technology had to come and find a solution to that. That solution existed. But to use any technology, we need some major events happening. Just think of it this way. We imagined 30 years back, when I was doing my MBA, how the world is going to shape up, and what we are doing today, we imagined 30 years ago. But it's taken that long and a major event in the world to bring us together like this. Having said that, what's happening is we are again paying attention to a smaller part, how to deliver. The question of pedagogy has always been there. There are many people, leaders of industry, they have looked at how to educate, how to help children learn, and how to help teachers be ahead of the curve in helping children learn. For instance, if teachers grew up 30 years back, so their knowledge base is of 30 years ago, and they keep on building on that, but building on that knowledge is not the same thing as being in it. So the younger generation is always closer to the future. That's the first thing. Pedagogy keeps evolving at its own pace. But what's happened today is the delivery model has come under pressure, and we have found a response to that.
Probably I'll leap up to Dr. Usha Ram. Ma'am, can you talk about the fact, all the disruptions that happened, all the way EdTech stepped in? So are these disruptions are just beginning of a whole new journey in learning? Am I correct in saying so?
Thank you so much, Yojana, and Satish has really given a gist of a lot of points that we had to take up. First of all, my salutations to all the teacher fraternity. It goes without saying that the teachers are the backbone of any educational system, and we all know that they have worked like warriors during this pandemic. So we need to really applaud this. A sudden paradigm shift did not deter them, and their enthusiasm remained the same. Teachers are like oxygen from education point of view. I take them as the main pillars, which even Satish just talked. Now I'll just, I'll just touch the challenges. I'll not come to strengths now. I'll just come to the challenges that we are facing today because of this pandemic and the COVID-19. That is the situation. Now, COVID-19 has caused an unprecedented disruption of education. More than 90% of school population is suffering due to this. No proper online connectivity. Sitting at home has brought emotional, social, academic, mental health issues. So many issues have come up because they are not able to cope with that. I'm just talking about the challenges right now. Okay.
Of course,
and then,
of course.
Difficult situation, not conducive to environment when you are at home. There's a lot of disturbance, noise, one room set house, two room set house, and there are two kids who are studying. So there are two connections that we require. You know, how many people have those many connections, you know, in the house? And then economically weaker section students, they are left stranded. Our economically weaker section students, they are stranded. They do not have the, you know, the gadgets that are required, and the broadband, you know, internet connections they don't have. And then there is another, to ensure, you know, privacy, safety, security, cyber crime. These are certain things which are the challenges we are facing these days. I'm talking about the challenges that we are facing. Then there's a lot of, you know, patience required, emotional stability, conducive environment of tolerance during the tough time of pandemic. Who's to do it? Parents on one side, the family, and the teachers and the educators and the school on the other side. So we have to have a balance.
That's the strongest factor that is shaping the educational landscape today. And agreed that in the pandemic times, this was the only respite that by means of which we could keep our teaching learning process on in spite of our school buildings being shut. And so many points have been so wisely shared by Usha ma'am. Just to add a few to these, you know, when it comes to teachers, the added challenge was that they had to manage their households also. with no external help coming in. Their own kids, they're all fathers, mothers, uncle, aunts, and grandparents also in the house. So with all the challenges that they had of managing their own personal life, they had to manage their own learning because they were not trained for this online teaching. So they were managing house, they were managing their own learning, and then they were managing the kids online. So it is a triple effort that the teacher has to put. And when
Absolutely.
online teaching, edtech, I mean, tools have been a wonderful tool. By God's grace, we were able to adapt very proactively. But, I would like to refer to a research paper that was published in July 2020. And the theme was I'll just read the theme from the paper. The greater teaching techniques don't compute over Zoom. And this is by Stephen L. Carte. With due respect to the tech experts here, the paper talks about 4 things which a edtech tool in a virtual classroom still misses as compared to a traditional classroom. And if I'll tell you, one was that the teacher is not able to feel the room. So while the teacher is online, because of the bandwidth and all, when you tell the children to switch off their cameras, you are not able to see them. You can't see the uneasiness in their body, in their postures, in their eyes, on their faces, and hence no remediation is possible. The second very important factor is that in an online class, humor is missing. And humor, proven research, is such a vital component of teaching. We don't have to be, as teachers, stand-up comedians, right? But an occasional humor here and there adds on to that liveliness of the class and drags the child back from that boredom, if he's gone into that boredom and he's back into the class. And then, in the physical classroom, the teacher is able to cater to diversity and inclusion. That becomes very difficult in a virtual classroom. All the now, of course, in the last 8 months, we have now started using various edtech tools, because by means of which we are trying to impart differentiated teaching online too. But that factor is still there. And the last is that children being children, they indulge into multitasking when they're online. And that really reduces their cognition.
So I think it's really quite insightful of Mrs. Ram, as well as Satish, to bring this up, because I think that this equitable learning issue is probably the one that speaks most deeply. India already has reasonably good quality of education at the high end. And at the high end, we already see that people are reasonably well adapted to using technology, and there's a fairly rich ecosystem of options available. I think it's very much at the lower end. 50% of Indian students are in villages, right? I'd say probably 70% of them, 70% of those students, we're talking about one-room schoolhouses. There really isn't much. These are villages of fewer than 1,000 people. They don't really have electricity. Very few people have smartphones or any devices. As has already been mentioned, what we had tried to do at Edufront, inspired in part by the One Laptop Per Child project, is speak to those issues, speak to the real grassroots problems that we see with these students. Of course, you can't speak to everything, but what you can do is design software around speaking to different learning styles, right? There always is a question of, can you take pedagogy, right? Different styles of teaching for different styles of learning, and encode them in the software itself, right? So then the question about the software is not just, can it be artificial intelligence to help the students? Can it just be an administrative aid? The question is, how can it become a virtual assistant overall for the teacher in particular, right? Because the teacher has to be the central natural conduit for these things, right? And the students will rise with them.
All have had some very interesting takeaways from this discussion. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar on how technology is changing and opening many opportunities in the education sector. This webinar is presented to you by India's leading LMS provider, Edufront, in association with TechGig. This is the second webinar that we are hosting today, The first one, which we hosted in January, talked about the role of EdTech in education continuity, especially in the COVID-19 times. Today, we're taking a step ahead and we're talking about hybrid learning among the COVID-19 times and what its shape could be as we open up our school premises post-COVID. Welcome, everybody, and I'll quickly introduce my panel to you. I have with me Mr. Satish Jha. So quickly say hi to our audience.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. He is the chairman for Edufront. He's also the committee co-chair for TIE Edu SIG. He's the chairman for ReadScale, founder of OLPC India Foundation, and he's the former editor of Dinaman and the Times of India Group. Welcome, sir. I have with me Dr. Shama Chona. Ma'am, quickly wave to our audience, please. Namaskar, ma'am. She's the founder of Tamanna Association, and she's also the former principal of the reputed Delhi Public School from RK-Puram. I have with me Jyoti Arora. Welcome, ma'am. Please wave to our audience. Namaskar, ma'am. She's the principal of Mount Abu Public School from Delhi, and she's also the governing body member of CBSE. I have with me Mr. Shantanu Jha. Hello, sir. Please wave to our audience. He's the co-founder of Edufront, and he's the CTO of Vahan AI and CIO of Beaconsfield Capital Management. And I would quickly take the discussion forward, and I'll probably first speak to Mr. Satish Jha about hybrid learning, which is a mix of in-person learning and the online instruction. It was always there in the West, and a lot of India's privileged and frontline schools had it. But now with COVID-19, all of us had a taste of how technology can actually open new realms of learning and education continuity. So what could be the new framework of hybrid learning post-COVID?
Thank you, Itaji. It's good to know that hybrid learning has become something between technology and in person. But in some ways, learning is a very complex process, which we always go on, experiencing. And in classroom, in homes, in playgrounds, in libraries. So it was always hybrid in that sense. So now it's technology versus in person. If you take that perspective, then over the years, technology has been aiding learning process and its quotient or its component is going up. It also makes it possible for every child or learner or teacher for that matter to become more capable of handling the complexity that's hitting us all the time, because one thing we can't forget, every year, every 2 years, we are actually creating as much information as in the preceding part of the entire history. So to deal with that, we will need technologies. So I think technology will have a couple of functions. One of them is to help us deal with the current emerging complexity of information on the one hand, and on the other, make every individual learner and learner primarily, student and teachers both alike, more capable of handling that.
So how do you think that, in a conventional Indian setup, the hybrid learning is going to evolve and be more accepted and adapted well?
Hello, young minds. I feel I can call you all my dear young minds for the simple reason that I started my teaching in the year of 1964. From 1964 to today, while I still teach, I suddenly realized that 2020 has done to the education front something so revolutionary that could not have happened otherwise. Of course, it's tough, yeah, but it has also found new opportunities.
So I'd say at the first level, I think we've already briefly touched on the fact the movement overall is towards more personalization. I think in that really means that technology is taking more and more of the lead, and I think that's come out in everything the previous two panelists have said.
Hybrid learning, as we understand, is a way of combining traditional classroom experiences and experiential learning objectives and digital delivery. At one side, we have been talking a lot about 21st century learners. We have been addressing 21st century learners' needs, requirements. And if we have to look at the recommendations of NEP, which talks very high about developing of 21st century skills. And when we really need to understand that what kind of learners do we need to have. We really need learners, those who are, or the citizens to the country. So we need learners, those who are globally competent, well equipped with all the skills, and they are able to manage the knowledge. Lots of knowledge is floating everywhere. It's very important for a learner to understand and to choose in a very intelligent way.
Well, that is an opportunity that we have. How we combine technologies that become available to us to chart a path for our citizens for the future. I mean, very often we forget that people are the essence of a nation. People are the wealth of the nation. People are the ones who create the wealth. And the way we connect with each other depends on the kind of education we give them, the kind of learning environment we create. And if you keep that in mind, today, the way the films project, and that helps people understand that from a film like Chippa, to a film like Three Idiots, you can see a whole range of learning that goes on, from the totally underprivileged, someone who doesn't have a home, who sleeps on the street side, to someone who are privileged, those who can talk about expensive shoes and kind of clothes they wear and so on and so forth. So that's the kind of range we're looking for.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much, my dear audience and my gracious panelists. It was wonderful hosting you today. Great session, great learnings, and I'm hopeful that everybody's taken back a few learnings pertaining to technological advancements in the EdTech sector.
What an empowering and insightful discussion. Now it's time for the most awaited segment of the finale, the virtual award felicitation ceremony. We're so thrilled to have witnessed this nail-biting competition between these young and brilliant minds. And to do the honors, may I please invite Mr. Satish Shah to announce the award for the coding powerhouse, that is the school with the maximum participation.
Thank you, Sukriti. I'm so happy to be here today to welcome you all. And I thought I will also talk about how mentoring helps us all get somewhere. Every child is capable on his or her own to learn with screens unlike any other device. I think we needed teachers much more when we were on the blackboards. With devices in our hands, we can actually look at the world a little differently. A child can create his own world. I can tell you, when my son was 2 years old, I could not compete with him in running the Mario game as such. So children are obviously very, very smart and way ahead of the older generation in understanding the new technologies. But mentoring is a huge benefit to many, many. Some people can chart their own path, but most of us need a mentor who can help us, guide us in finding a path sooner, a shorter path, sweeter, easier. Mentors do all that for us. That said, we're here to announce the next winner of this CodeFest. And the second runner-up is Guru Tegh Bahadur Public School from Model Town. And the winner is, any guesses? Arvind Gupta, DAV Centenary Public School, Model Town again.
Thank you, Mr. Satish, and congratulations to the winners. Time for us to announce the first and the second runner-up now. And to give away the awards, may I please call upon Mr. Shantanu Jha, who is the co-founder and CTO of Edufront.
Very pleased to be able to announce the winners of this competition. At Edufront, our goal has always been to create ecosystems of learning that move beyond mere education. And we think a coding competition, especially in this time where software engineering has become something of paramount importance, something that lies itself at the fundament of education, because without it, remote learning, which has become the primary modality of learning for so many, would not be possible. So we're thrilled to be able to be engaged with helping students become more innovative, move beyond just the standard educational curriculum, and gain skills that are not only require a higher level of abstract thinking, but allow them to eventually obtain some of the most remunerative jobs that can be found. I'm very pleased to announce that the second runner-up is And with that, I think it's also time to announce our first runner-up. So the first runner-up of Edufront's first annual CodeFest is Namit Jain, who's a class 12 student at Meerut City Public School. So congratulations to Namit as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shantanu, and congratulations to the winners. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to hold your breath as we are about to announce the champion of Edufront CodeFest 2021. The buck stops here. I would request Mr. Satish Jha to please announce the winner now.
And the winner for Edufront CodeFest 2021 is Vinny Goyal, a student of class 10th from Santa Maria School. Congratulations, Vinny, and thank you very much for participating in it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Vinny, and thank you so much, Mr. Satish. Hey, wait, this is not the end of our ceremony. We are happy and proud to give away 10 consolation prizes to the participants who couldn't make to the top 3 positions, but have exceptionally performed well in the competition. And the winners are Congratulations to all the brilliant brains. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Mr. Shantanu Jha for his closing remarks for the evening.
So first of all, I would like to congratulate all the winners. I am very pleased to witness such talented young minds, and I look forward to the impressive technologies all of you build in the future. I'll take a moment to talk about Edufront as well. Edufront is a platform that creates digital learning ecosystems that is building, delivering, and supporting education technology and learning for all students, regardless of background. This coding contest in particular was designed to engage students with computing, which is unique among the sciences in that it draws equally on mathematics and language to facilitate innovation. Similarly, I would say our learning platform is designed to help students learn what is possible rather than merely mandatory, move beyond education to real learning. And to that end, I think Edufront absolutely plans to conduct more such competitions in the near future. Our goal is to expose more students to the possibilities of innovation as a part of education and learning. And while we train and prepare our students for bright futures, whether in academia or in commerce or what have you, we take seriously our responsibility to guide them with the best available resources and give them the best possible educational infrastructure. So thank you to TechGig for collaborating with us on this. This was a cause very near and dear to our hearts, and we hope we can do more of the same in the future. So thank you everyone for being here. Congratulations again to the winners and runners up. And we hope this is the beginning of many such events in the future.
Thank you for the encouraging speech, Mr. Shantanu. We are all overwhelmed. Now, I take this opportunity to thank the principals, academicians, school leaders, mentors, school counselors for being a part of the celebration. Once again, congratulations to all the winners and super proud parents and teachers. Have a lovely evening, everyone.